Yo, this is the men's semifinal match. What, Tony? This is the men's semifinal match. Bottom half of the bracket, we've got the 2 seed playing the 3 seed. 2 seed being Matt Wright and Riley Newman on the far side of the court. 3 seed being Tyler Leung and Tyson McGuffin on the near side. Just wide. Pretty routine first game going to Matt and Riley, as to be expected, in my opinion. Matt and Riley have what I would say are significantly faster hands than Tyson and Tyler. But playing in Florida in the heat with a softer ball, it's a little bit of a neutralizer. So as you see, Tyson has fantastic defense, gets a ton of balls back, rarely makes an unforced error. And this is kind of the exact point I was making on the X40 is, typical putaways that you'd have with a harder ball and in cooler conditions, that ball's coming back today. So what I actually this is an X40 ad, but what I actually do really, really like about playing with the X40 is that you get these amazing points, right? Like Tyson and Tyler were dead in the water on that point. And they somehow pulled it out and got that point to go up 2-0 in this game. So for the fans, you get extended points. You get really long rallies. You get really cool hands battles. So yeah, I think for viewership, it's really, really good stuff. Rare unforced error from Mr. McGuffin, but he's not, left side's not where he plays a lot. He's usually the kind of the right side player in some of his matchups or partnerships on the men's side. So a little bit of a different look for him. But they've had a good day so far. Won everything in pretty clean games. And now their biggest test yet, which is going to be a tough one for them. So what you can kind of see from Tyler and Tyson, Tyler, very solid, makes a lot of balls, good counter, especially if you go into his backhand like that. So, between Loong and McGuffin, Tyler definitely has the faster hands. He's not the guy you want to attack because he'll counter. Whereas in Tyson, most of the time, if you're ripping balls at him, especially off the bounce or out of the air, flicking at him like this, he'll usually just block it back, try to reset it. He's not going to counter hard very often. But he also, most guys that usually when you see a guy just reset a lot, you just want to keep attacking them because eventually he'll pop a ball up or miss one. He does a fantastic job of resetting and keeping it in the kitchen. So short return there. Tyson took a rip. Wasn't able to make it pay off. All right, so Matt Riley serving at 1-2. First serve. I think they got that score wrong. Got a little bit of lag on my end. Keep an eye on it. A little choppy. It says 1-3, but I think it's 2-2. They just fixed it. Nice. So Matt cheated a little bit too far middle there, and Tyson just pulls that forehand down the line. It was not very disguised by Matt. He moved pretty early and was just setting up shop in the middle of the court. So 2-2 second server now. Nice. So yeah, Tyler's not the guy you want to really be pulling the trigger out right here. You want to just keep, being disciplined and keep, if you're speeding up, you want to keep going at Tyson. Tyson went to the right spot there. If you're going to speed up on Riley, you want to speed it up to his left hip on the outside. Anywhere on the right side of his body, he's sitting on that pancake grip and just going to punish anything. So, anybody like any of these strong left side players, Riley, Ben, Kohler as well. you want to try to keep that ball out of the middle. If it's they give you a small window to hit to on that left side of the body, on that line side. But if you're going to attack, that's where you want to go because most of these guys are sitting pretty heavy forehand grip. So all they can really do on the backhand is not hit over it. They're just going to have to chip it back and try to keep it low, which sometimes they can do, but oftentimes you're gonna get a look at a pop up. But they just give you a small window to hit into on that backhand side, so it's much easier said than done, of course. Tyson getting the better of Riley in that former partnership that we saw a lot of last year, where Riley dropped Tyson for Mr. Matt Wright. And yeah, I would say, generally speaking, things have gone a little bit better for Riley on that side of things throughout the year. Jay DeVier has been playing with Tyson, and they've had some they've had some struggles so far, but they're both great players. I think they'll figure it out. They'll take some time to gel and all that stuff. So they'll keep getting better, and I'd expect them to have good results throughout the rest of the year. But Riley and Matt, kind of always near around that gold medal match. So very very solid team. Two bigger guys, both with great hands. Um, yeah, just don't miss a lot, right? You'll get a few more errors out of Matt than you will Riley, but Matt makes up for it with really really fast hands and really great speed ups on that forehand side. Nice. That's a great look. I think that's probably what Tyler's strongest at is shaking and baking. He's great driving from the back, and he's really really great pouncing on balls where his partner's driving. So as you see, a lot of drives. I wouldn't. He went fifth shot drive too, which I wouldn't have done having my partner already up there. Tyson had already committed, but as you see, Tyson's a beast back there. You can get a ton of balls back, and as you see, they're all landing in the kitchen. And it's a little easier to do with the X40, as I mentioned. But that's why they have a bit of a better chance in this matchup than they would at say a different event in cooler weather with a little bit of a harder ball. And honestly, I like this commentary stuff's all just going to be kind of fun. I'm going to talk through points. So I know a lot of people get mad when commentators are talking through points, but I'm not really talking about the points. I'm just kind of talking more about the backstory of some of the players and some of the things you might not know and some of the things that we think about on court. So feel free to listen to the mainstream if you want to hear Drew Filios's beautiful angelic voice. Um, but I'll just be giving kind of a different perspective. And ooh, and Tyson just took one right into the belly button from that pancake grip of Riley. Let's see that again. That was just fun to watch. Oh yeah, oh yeah, right into the belly button. Lob, lob off the bounce. Matt Wright, you dirty, dirty man. We saw in the Johns Kohler Wilson match quite a few lobs off the bounce. Usually, a lob off the bounce is a big no-no from the kitchen just because you can see it. But it feels like with this ball, man, you're able to put some more loft on it, and not just with this ball, but the weather, right? It's the heat. You're able to put more loft on and keep that thing in. Usually, you'll see that. You'll see a lob off of um, a dink that's out of the air, and it's really quite easy to control it. Believe it or not, it's not that hard of a shot. So if you guys at home want to work on anything, it's a great shot to take dinks out of the air, dink out of the air, and then flick a lob over your opponent's head. Right? It's tough to defend. One second, I think I'm burning the kitchen down.
Always talk about Chad, how different it is facing a lefty in baseball, facing a lefty, a good one like Loong in pickleball definitely presents its challenges.
Yeah, I think lefties in the majority of sports have a little bit of an advantage because you don't always get to see as much play coming from the lefty. But for some reason, I'm not too sure what it is, but left-handers just have this funkiness about them that they're able to add spin or hit a ball differently, and it's difficult to get a read off of a left-hander.
Oh, just as you say that, on cue, right, playing it off the net.
Yeah, and that ball held up there for a long time. I think that might have almost hit the bottom of the net cord. Right, expecting it to clear and was on it, but just the change up from the net.
Okay, that was something special. I was legit burning my house down. I had I had egg whites on my frying pan. I totally forgot about when we started this live stream. I was making eggs. I was making breakfast and then just started doing this and forgot about my eggs and here we are. I've got yeah, Hawaii time, baby. It's I don't know what time it is, but it's early, 10 a.m. And I usually eat early, like 7 a.m. But I forgot to eat, so I have coffee. This is breakfast at the U.S. Open with Rob Nunnery. Welcome everybody. If you're still here after that fiasco of having to sprint and get the frying pan off the. Oh, did he really just speed up into Riley's frying pan? Just stop saying. I guess it could be a frying pan, pancake. What you make pancakes in. Uh, So, all right. Well, this second game is actually quite a surprise to me. All I've been saying is how Matt and Riley are just going to cruise. They're not cruising. They're down 7-4-1. And I guess, like I said, the conditions and the ball are a big neutralizer. Matt and Riley have significantly faster hands than Tyson and Tyler, but that's a much bigger deal when you are playing with a fast ball in faster conditions. So X40 in Florida is a great neutralizer in terms of hand speed. It's you're going to get longer points. Guys are going to get more balls back. Like that speed up that Matt just hit, he hit it into a good spot, but guys are going to get these back. And that's multiple lobs we're seeing out of McGuffin, and I love it, as they should lob. I was talking about it a little earlier before I almost burnt my kitchen down. And I'm eating burnt. Yeah, I don't know if you see this, but like half the egg still on the frying pan because I don't know. It might take 2 years to come off that frying pan at this point because it's just pure black. Frying pan might actually just need to be retired. So those hand battles always going to favor Wright and Newman, but again, less so percentage wise than typical conditions where it's a faster ball in faster conditions. But we've seen a lot of lobs, especially off the bounce, which has been kind of surprising. But I would say we're probably going to keep seeing more and more. It's been super effective for everybody that's done it. I haven't actually seen a missed lob yet today. I haven't watched a ton. I've just watched the other semi as well as this one. But lobs are staying in, which is no surprise in Florida in the heat, humidity. It's going to bring that ball down quicker. But let's see if Matt and I can go on a little run here, 5-8. I kind of predicted a routine kind of straight game straight game win here. I said like a 6-6 would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't expect this to go to 3 games, but it absolutely could. But even if it goes 3 games, this would be to me, even though it's the 2 seed, 3 seed, this would be a massive upset if Tyson and Tyler won. All right, side out, still serving 8-6-1. So they've got some opportunities this game. You know, any team that gets a lot of balls in play like Tyson and Tyler do are going to be tough to beat, especially in the heat. And it's a little tricky because the way Matt and Riley are thinking is, hey, our hands are significantly better. Let's just speed up, and we're going to win the vast majority of the hand battles. The only problem with that here is that it's much like I've kind of harped on this entire time is the softness of the ball and the heat is a big neutralizer in terms of winning those hands battles. They're going to get on these balls a little bit more than they would if it was fast conditions. So it's it's a big deal. It really is. All right, so we've seen this be super effective for these guys. The shake and bake, it's where Tyler's most comfortable. Like he loves driving, he loves crashing. You don't see it as much with people that Tyson usually plays with. You usually see him drop 90% of the time plus. But with Tyler, it's what he's best at. So you're seeing Tyson adjust a little bit and try to give Tyler some support there. So struggling to score on the far side with Riley and Matt. I think they're being a little bit impatient. Yeah, that's not going to work too many times. That's Tyson got away with one earlier going into the pancake, but that's a cross court speed up to Riley's pancake. Uh-uh, uh-uh, uh-uh. I've got like actual PTSD from doing that way too many times. Yeah, so these guys are just making more errors than they typically do on the far side, which can happen. Like you're gonna have McGuffin and Loom make a ton of balls, and Riley's gonna make a ton of balls. You're gonna get some errors out of Matt, but his weapons and his hand speed significantly makes up for some of the errors you do get. But if I'm Loong and Tyson, I'm definitely dinking to Matt. Um, or dinking middle, like you're going to see Tyson do there. And then if Riley's sitting too hard middle, I'll go pretty wide on Riley, get him out of the middle. But I would be looking to try to go Matt's left foot. He's got a really really good speed up on his forehand that he can disguise really well. Like that, he kind of pulls it back a little bit, and you don't know if he's going to pull the trigger and take one at your right armpit or if he's just going to dink it. But if you can get it to Matt's left foot, make him, force him to hit backhand dinks, you're going to be in a better spot. All right, we are on the verge of having these guys stretch it to 3 games, which is going to be fun for us. Surprising for me, but hey, this is a different ball game with the slower conditions. Significantly helps Tyson. Okay, don't mind me. I'm gonna eat a little bit. Gotta eat my burnt breakfast. Burnt eggs, nothing better, right? Smoke stopped. House is less smoky. That's good. Frying pan's still probably busted. That's all right though. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just so many balls back. X40 baby. Fun points, man. That's what I do love about it though. You get extended points. The rallies are ridiculous. It's impossible to put a ball away. And yeah, these guys just get so many balls back, but it's super fun. I haven't been following this tournament crazy close, and I don't think we've played mixed yet, right? It's mixed tomorrow. Mixed is going to be wild. And I don't know what's going on with women's doubles either. Is that today? Regardless, it's I'm going to pull up my phone actually. Do we have any comments or anything? T Money. All right. If you guys want to ask anything, if anybody's actually listening to this, I don't really care. This is fun for me. So even if you aren't listening, I'm having fun. Tomorrow's Mixed Pro. Okay. Yeah, we have 7 people watching this. What are you guys doing? You just like the sound of my voice over Drew Filios? I don't blame you. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Tony's like, Rob, let's be nice to them. We're using their stream and muting them. Yeah, no, I love you, Drew. You're great. I don't know who else. I think Chad Edwards is also commenting. I love the sound of his Australian voice too. He's lovely. I could listen to him all day. All right, 8-9. Let's see if they can. Oh, Tyson had a chance there. 9-9. maybe I'm still gonna look and have that routine. We can still call this routine. Like, oh, is that out? Yeah. Is that a miss serve? What are we doing? By Riley? Come on. I don't think I've ever seen Riley miss a serve. That's interesting, especially at 9-9. Wow, it's a big side out. So serving 9-9. Got let's see if Tyson and Tyler could score here. This is going to be a really really big side out. Oh, we got the barking MacGuffin. Yeah. Let's see who can be the most patient here. A little surprising to see Tyson pull the trigger early. Again, um, he's not going to win most of these battles, like if he's pulling the trigger. But maybe he knows that. Maybe he knows that he has to play a little differently and try to mix it up. So it probably is surprising to them that he sped up. So that's the thing. I mean, that's the beauty of not speeding up very often is, which Tyson doesn't do a ton of. The more you dink, the more you dink, the more they think you're going to dink, and then the more effective your speed ups are actually when you do them. Oh, rare unforced error there from Tyson off the backhand volley. That one hurts. 10-9. We got match point here. Um, let's see. A couple rare unforced errors late by Tyson have hurt him. Let's see if he can stay patient. Sped up right into the pancake again. Yep. Just can't get away with that too many times. Good win by Matt and Riley. And we're going to have the gold medal match that we probably all expected, which is going to be the Johns boys versus Matt Wright and Riley Newman. And it's going to be an interesting matchup with the way the ball's playing. I've mentioned this before, but you've got Matt Wright and Riley Newman, who Riley's got insane defense, great hands, gets a ton of balls back. You'll get some more errors out of Matt, but Matt's got insane hand speed. His hands are some of the fastest on tour. He's got really good speed ups, disguised, and then you kind of know what you're going to get with the Johns. Ben's going to pinch middle. It'll be interesting to see how much court he actually takes. When he's playing his best, he's really really moving a ton and taking a lot of balls on the forehand side and really kind of dictating the movement and the placements of the ball and kind of setting the points up how he wants. When he gets a bit more passive and lets Colin take more balls and kind of scoot to the middle more, they get into a bit more trouble. There's a bit more confusion on the middle balls. So it'll be really interesting to see how the gold medal match plays out. And I don't know what we have coming up next. Any ideas, Tony? All right. Well, if any of the listeners know, you throw in the live chat what we have. If you can hear on the mainstream what we have coming up next. I've got no idea. I just basically was like, Tony, I'd like to commentate today and live stream and talk about these pickleball matches since I'm not there. Might as well enjoy myself and talk pickleball. And so if you guys know who's coming up next, let me know. We'll of course try to get this gold medal match when it happens. Hopefully it's not too long of a wait. What's up, Neil? Just to interrupt, how do you think the Franklin ball changed the dynamic in the men's final? It's a good question. I would say hand speed wise, it's a pretty. I don't think it'll change things too much. Hand speed wise, they're all relatively equal. All some of the fastest hands on tour. I would say it could favor Matt and Riley a bit because Ben's putaways are going to be coming back more often with the slower ball. Like Riley's going to get a paddle on everything. Matt's not quite as good kind of on the defending side and the midcourt side as Riley is. But also Ben's not quite as good in the midcourt as Colin is. So I see a lot of parallels here. It's going to be I think the match is going to be closer than it typically would have, if we were playing with a Dura in colder weather, for example. Yeah, definitely helps try that in defense. All right, ladies, what do you know? Can we pull up that draw, or is that too big of a pain? Oh, just trying to Riverside. Okay. Let's see. Next up on center court, Callie Smith, Lucy Kovalova versus Andrea Koop and Irina Tereshchenko. Ah. Those are my former BLQK teammates. Look at them teaming up at the U.S. Open. Apologies for me eating my eggs. My buddy Sean's here, and Sean, you were outside while I did this, but I almost I forgot about it, and just smoke just starts billowing. I'm like, what is that smell? I'm in the middle of commentating. I'm like, oh, I have eggs in the frying pan, and I still have eggs in the frying pan because they would not come off the frying pan. So here we are. All right, cool. So we're Tony's pulling up the brackets, and we'll be able to show you that on the women's side. Is this Callie Smith, Lucy Kovalova, Andrea match? Is this semi, or is we talking gold? Yeah, no worries. Just pull it up. And again, if you guys are just joining, excuse me for talking and eating. It's very rude of me. But if you hear me talking to somebody, it's Tony, who you can't hear, who is the producer, who's helping rig this thing together. So feel free to listen in to us. Also, the mainstream, obviously, we're not trying to take anything away from those guys. I just want to talk about pickleball and have the stream running. And I'm not going to be doing like really play by play. You guys might hate this because I will talk over points. If I'm doing like commentating in a booth or something, I'll never talk over points. But since I'm just sitting in my living room talking about pickleball, I don't really care. And I also, no offense, but I also don't mind if you don't listen and you go to the other stream. So with that said, I'm going to continue doing what I want. If you guys hate something, I'll take some feedback. But if sorry, what, Tony? Yeah, they're just warming up. Let's go to the brackets. All right, let's see what we got here. Callie, Lucy, 1 seed. No surprise. They're both ballers. I am a little surprised they took. Well, okay, so Kawamoto's are good. I'll tell you that right now. They are good. So the beating Megan and Elise 2 and 3. That's not a huge surprise to me. Kawamoto's are good. They get a ton of balls back. They're really tough. Callie and Lucy being them 6 and 7 shows me that Callie and Lucy are playing really well today together. Because that's a pretty lopsided result for what I would have expected. And some people might think, oh, okay, 1 seed versus a 9 seed, but Kawamoto's don't play a ton of tournaments, so it's kind of a low seed for them, and they're good. So Callie, Lucy took that 6 and 7. If we go down a bit, we've got Andrea and Irina as the 4 seed in that's on that half of the bracket. They took down Jessica Kawamoto, Lee Bradwell pretty easily, and then they had a battle with Jessie Irvin and Lindsay Newman. Haven't seen a lot of Lindsay Newman this year, so cool to see her back. And it's kind of fuzzy, Tony. I can't really see the scores with Irina and okay, 9-11, 11, 9-11, 9-11, 11-9, 11-5, Irina and Coop over Irvin Newman. Yeah, I mean that's a bit of a toss up, right? Because you just don't know how Lindsay's playing or how she's been playing. She hasn't been playing a lot. I would expect that to be close for 4 seed, 5 seed. I probably would have honestly given the edge to Jessie and Lindsay, but you just never know. And big props to Andrea and Irina for getting through it. and now they've got a handful with Callie Smith and Lucy Kovalova. Callie always seems to play well at the U.S. Open. Played really well here last year, taking the gold with Catherine Parento. Speaking of Catherine Parento, playing with Leah Jansen, let's go to the bottom half of this bracket on the other side, and we've got them taking down Martina Coakley and Megan Fudge, 2 and 3. Megan Fudge is a newcomer, I believe married to Ryler DeHart out of the Tampa area, who's great former tennis player who will get good, will get better. And then we had Lee Whitwell, Georgia Johnson. Georgia Johnson's getting sneaky, sneaky good. Maybe not even sneaky good. She's just good. I think everybody knows now that she's good. Um, had Lee Whitwell, Georgia Johnson playing Addie Brooks, Vivian David, the sisters. Um, and that was a tight one. Vivian. So Abby's a good player, but she's definitely not Vivian level. So it looks like Vivian kept that thing close, 11-8 to the third, going to Lee and Georgia, and then Georgia and Lee put up a big fight to Catherine and Leia, taking 3 games. Looks like I wonder if Lee and Georgia had match points in that second game. But Catherine and Leia came out on top 11-3 in the third. And then getting down to the bottom, we got Lauren Stratman and Simone. Looks like they're cruising straight games over Anna Bright, Regina Franco, who took down Corinne Carr, Sarah Ansberry in the first round. Not a big surprise there. Anna Bright's coming on quick, and she's going to be very, very, very good. So looks like we got Parento and Jansen versus Stratman and Simone at the bottom half, the two seed, 3 seed. So it looks like everything's as it should be. 1 through 4 seeds all advanced to the semis. It looks like. Did Simone and Lauren already play that semi at the bottom or no? Like the draw looks kind of jacked up to me. Okay, they haven't played yet. All right, sweet. So let's go back to court where I get to commentate on women's doubles. Woo! I was slightly sarcastic, but also women's doubles is bomb because their points are way better than our points. Their defense is way better than our defense. Their putaways are not as good as our putaways, though, so that has something to do with it. Apologies for the eggs. All right. Their brackets look better than our brackets, I'll be honest. Let's see what we got here. Callie Smith, World Pickleball Ranking, Lucy Kovalova. So I played with Lucy in Red Rock. She was so fun to play with. Like she's, her and Matt are, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how couples play together, generally speaking, pickleball, even if it's just for fun. But Lucy was so fun on court. She was like, "Hey, do whatever you want. You can take as many balls as you want. I just want to have fun. This is gonna be fun." And we had a blast. Didn't do as well as we wanted, but like she was so fun to play with. She was so supportive. She was so nice. I'm a big Lucy Kovalova fan. She can come off probably similar to how I can come off, which is I probably don't smile as much as I need to. So people are like, "Oh, that guy's always angry." And so I've heard some people say the same about Lucy, but Lucy's the most chill. She's super funny. Big Lucy Kovalova fan. Irina, also very serious and can get a little worked up on court. Very, very, very good human being off court. One of my favorites. Um, Amazing heart. Very funny person. Very caring person, and big Irina fan. Andrea Coop, attorney for Michigan. Got to know her much, much better at MLP last year. And she's amazing. Like she's usually quiet and reserved, and you don't really know much. And she's usually quite serious, but she let loose at MLP. Got to know her really, really well, and now I find myself just randomly calling her, like seeing how she's doing. So big Andrea Coop fan. Callie Smith, don't know her quite as well, but she's always been super, super nice. I've gone to group dinners with her, that kind of thing, and great family person. Kyle, her husband's always at tournament supporting. Her children are there, and obviously she's a huge fan favorite. So um, all really good humans on court, and we're gonna have some good pickleball here. Irina testing that down the line early. We'll see what happens. Women's pickleball is already wildly entertaining because the points are so long. Um, this is the first women's match I've seen of this tournament, so we'll see how long these points are. But as you can see, like these hand battles are silly good. Um, you had Lucy and Callie off the line a bit, so kind of in a weaker position, in a more defensive position. Then you see Andrea and Irina towing the line, so they were in the stronger position. Irina just ended up hitting one a little too long. Is that a miss? I think that might have been a miss. So yeah, that's part of playing here with this ball is that like you feel like you have to do so much to try to put the ball away that you sometimes do too much and you miss. And on the flip side, it's yeah, so soft the ball's softer, so you gotta give a little bit more. But you typically won't see you won't we won't see too many unforced dink errors. Probably won't see too many missed thirds. What a softer ball allows you to do is just control it more and keep it softer, not pop it up, which it's a big deal in pickleball. Great get in the middle by Andrea. Sick dig, able to keep the point alive and end up winning that point. So we got Irina Andrea playing straight up. They're switching sides. This is what I mean by that. Not stacking right now, anyways. Um, I think typically Irina likes that left side. She really likes her backhand dink. She kind of carves it up, and it's a tough shot on her on when she's on the right side. Um, her forehand gives me a little bit of anxiety when I'm playing with her, just because it feels like it's such a tough shot to hit, like the way she hits it. Like she really cups. I wish I could try to show you. I'm gonna try to not block the mic and kind of show you what she does. She cups her forehand, like close. No, I'm not on the screen at all. Okay, yeah, pop me up for a second. So I try to show you with the video kind of what she does, and you'll see it when she does it on the forehand side. But her her yeah her forehand dink stresses me out because I never know if it's going to go in the bottom of the net because the way she positions like her paddle face, it's very closed, and she kind of comes over it last second, almost like a really closed semi-western tennis forehand. So it's like no way that ball is getting over. But then she kind of cups it over, and it's like a little roll. But it just seems like how do you keep that low, and how do you not pop that up? And the answer is she does both. Like she it just misses more often than her backhand. Her backhand's super open face, gives it a little bit more margin, and she can carve it hard. So Tony, don't worry about it. I don't need it. I'll just point it out next time she's on the forehand side. But yeah, on the positive side of having like showing that as your forehand dink, is that it's a good disguise on pulling the trigger. So she can kind of flick it last second, and it's a good disguise speed up. So 4-2 to Callie and Lucy. Um, Similar to like how I called the last match, I would guess this will be a straight game, um, pretty routine win for our one seed, Callie and Callie and Lucy. But again, pickleball, new conditions that these players haven't played with in a while. Warm weather, Franklin X40, which, um, yeah, I don't know when the last time anybody on this court played with that in a tournament. So it's a bit of an adjustment for players. I think I've mentioned it a few times. I'm wearing a Franklin hat. I'm a Franklin sponsored player, just so you know. But I really enjoy playing with X40 because It's you get long points. It's great. It's honestly great for viewership because you get points like this where it's so difficult to put the ball away and the ball keeps coming back. Surprised Andrew didn't get that. She's pretty good scrambling.
Caution there as she pushed off.
Ah, we got a kitchen
Left
call.
foot
See,
on.
that's the
You can see
one thing about muting the other broadcast. I can't hear anything. So it was a push off,
back
and
down again.
that was the correct
Trying to
call.
touch the kitchen.
Actually, always get so annoyed on those calls. It's like
Inside the foot before the ball left the
it's like I'm at the baseline. I just hit an overhead, but I'm getting called because I took one or two steps and I didn't reestablish my other foot. It's a tough one. That's why we haven't seen any lobs yet, but lobs in the men's matches have been wildly effective, and I would imagine they'd be just as wildly effective in these women's matches. They just need to try some. And again, in the men's matches, I saw a lot of them off the bounce, which you just usually don't see a lob off the bounce because usually you can kind of see it coming, you can read it, and you can move back quick. Usually, what happens is you take a dink out of the air and just flick it over for a lob. And um, I'd like to see some of these ladies try to pull that off. I think we might have Irina try to pull out some lobs. I don't know if Andrea is very lob prone, but the game's changed to where the lob's it's a serious weapon. All right, so we got Irina on that right side. No, it's not staying there though. I was hoping to see if we could see some forehand dinks. All these points are actually moving pretty quick. Saw some longer points in the men's matches, and we'll see if that continues to happen or if we'll settle into some more drops and dink rallies, but not a ton of it so far. Egg break. And if you're just joining us, I almost burnt the my house down from burning eggs, and now I'm eating partially burnt eggs, and the other partially burnt eggs are still in the frying pan. So, first semi of the day for the women. Both men's semis are concluded. We've got the Johns boys going against Matt Wright and Riley Newman, which I think is going to be a better matchup than it even usually is when we see it on the PPA tour. I think the hot conditions, the ball moving a little slower, the humidity is gonna equal really entertaining points. Much harder to put the ball away if you're Ben, which is going to be frustrating because you're going to have to hit an extra 3, 4, 5 balls to try to win the point. And you got some really good defenders on the other side of the net from you. More so Riley than Matt. Matt struggles in the midcourt a little bit, struggles defending, scrambling, but Riley more than makes up for that. So it'll be interesting to see how that match plays out. I'm excited to watch that one. But for now, we've got the first women's semi. That Lucy Kovalova, Callie Smith up 6-4 over Irina Tereshchenko and Andrea Koop, my BLQK teammates and fellow champions of the world. Woo! Gotcha. Right in the shin. Yeah, so looking at this matchup, Callie, Lucy, both good reach, both a lot of offense. Um, Andrea, wildly solid player, doesn't miss a lot, goes to town on that backhand, has good thump on it. Irina, very good on that left side, especially. Good hands, get fired up. You will get some errors out of Irina. Um, Her goal should be just to minimize them, let them go. If one happens, don't let one turn into three. Because that can happen with her. So she's going to try to what we call, and this happens to all the players, by the way, is the black hole. We do not want to go into the black hole. If we make an error, we want it to be one error. Because oftentimes what you'll see is, you'll make a silly error on one point. Maybe it's a put away, maybe it's a high volley, and then you'll go back to return the next point, and you're still subconsciously thinking about that last point a little bit and that error and how silly it was. And then next thing you know, they're serving, and you dump a return in the net. Super common, and just one way to combat that, even if you're an amateur player just listening, is just to take a full reset after that miss and just clear your head. So and that's a conscious effort, right? It's something you have to consciously think about. Like, okay, let that one go. Let's walk back, and yeah, just like one thing I learned from tennis actually is whenever I would make an error on the tennis court, and this is just kind of sports psychology stuff, is I would make the error and then I would completely turn my back from the net and walk back to the baseline and even towards the fence. And that would kind of just clear it for me. I'm like, okay, that point's over, turning away from it, walking away from it, next point. So that's just kind of like a little mental psychology, sports psychology thing that I learned through tennis and that I still try to carry over into pickleball just so I don't hold on to unforced errors and points that were silly misses, right? Because the more you think about it, the more it's going to happen again. All right. Callie serving at 7-5. See if we can get some points on the board here. Nice. Andrea is really, really compact with that swing up there with that volley. And that's one thing. That's one thing that's actually hard to do, believe it or not, especially when you're playing with a softer ball. Is you feel like the ball's not going anywhere. You have to swing bigger, but then you just get caught not being ready for the next ball. So trying to stay really compact with your swing is a big deal because it allows you to be ready for the next ball that's coming back just as quick. And one thing that you see a lot of players do, and the reason they do it, is they jump their second hand on there for a two-handed backhand. And for me, like I've just never been comfortable enough to I just would need to work on it more. But what it does allow players to do is keep that swing compact. Like when I go after my one, when I'm doing a reflex volley with my one hand or I'm in a hands battle, oftentimes my one hand won't stay controlled enough to keep my swing short. So I'll have too much of a follow through and then I'll struggle getting back in time for the next ball. Whereas then if I had two hands on it, my left hand would basically be not allowing my right arm to pull the follow through. If that makes sense. So it keeps your swing way more compact. So if you find yourself, being a little slow in hands battles and your swing being a little too big, try keeping that left hand on. Go two-handed on the backhand. That'll keep you a little bit more compact. I think she was in the kitchen there. No, I had a lag on my screen, so it looked like when it kind of paused, and it looked like her foot was on the line, but probably over the line. Yeah, she didn't even go over. She just went completely around the old sidestep. 7-7. We got a battle here. A little closer than I would have thought, but you never know. Pickleball, pickleball. Okay. Uh, do we just All right, we're back. I just need to grab my computer battery so we stay live. 1 second. I mean, we've got a ball game. We've got a ball game. I'll be honest. I'm incredibly surprised at the score. Not that Irina and Andrea couldn't, shouldn't, well, shouldn't. I would just highly expect Lucy and Callie to take this. All right, quick timeout. I believe it's 8-10 or is it 9-10? All right, let's call it 8-10. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this game plays out. I think I call it a straight game win for Lucy and Callie. We'll see if just based on, and I'm basing that based on, let's say based one more time. I'm This is the first match I've seen on the women's side at all at the U.S. Open, but I would have assumed that a win over the Kawamotos pretty routinely, like Lucy and Callie did. Kawamotos make a lot of balls. They're probably some of the best defenders in the women's game. Like they get so many balls back. They have such fast hands. Not a lot of power, but their defense is silly good. And I just figured that Lucy and Callie probably just overpowered them, and figured that they would do that here too because you're gonna get more errors out of Irina, but she's playing pretty clean so far. Yeah, and it is 9-10. So that last forehand dink error in the net from Irina. Oh, some error from Callie. I'm gonna give a shout out to Irina's hat. I'm a big fan of that hat. Pretty high drops there, not keeping the ball down, but they are kind of targeting Irina, and Irina is holding her ground. Irina's playing well. And I just talked about keeping, when you're in these hands battles, keeping your swing short. And she's got two hands on that. And as you see, like, even on her forehand, she's not swinging across her body. Like, on her swing, she's stopping in front of her and not allowing her to go too far. And that's just allowing her to stay in control. Out call. It looked like it did kind of drift a little long. I can't see what Matt Wright's saying there in the background, but he had something to say about it. And of course, Matt will shoot Lucy straight if he saw it out, and it looks like it was out. So 11-9. Look at that, Andrea, Irina, and okay, well, ending the game on that, you're gonna get a fired up. You're gonna get a fired up Lucy and definitely a fired up Callie in the next game. So, women's pickleball. Let's get some fireworks going. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Got 12 people listening to this. This is, well, what a beautiful day. So it's still morning for me here in Hawaii. Couldn't beat. That was out, right? See that? I wasn't paying attention. It looked out. So yeah, no need to be upset about that. Um, and we were just talking about like letting unforced errors, not letting one or two unforced errors compound and turn into three or four. So same concept with like a bad line call or what you perceive to be a line call, even if the ball is out. Like you can use that and let that annoy you and not get over it and complain about it the rest of the match, or you can just say, hey, it happened, but it can't affect anything else. I can't let that affect the outcome of what's happening moving forward. So you just have to learn how to move on and just let it roll off your shoulder and just focus on the next point. Otherwise, it can be this all-consuming, all-encompassing thing that just eats you up and you keep thinking about, and you're not playing your game and you're not focused. All right. We have a message that says audio question mark. Are they able? Am I coming through clear or no, Tony? It's a good question. If you can hear me, just make a note in the live chat that you can hear me. Um, I Okay. Tony's on it, as he always is. Neil, I'd like to hear your perspective on what we're going to see in the men's gold. If you're still here, Neil, like to yeah, I mean, the slower conditions, heavier ball is definitely going to help Riley a lot. But, I think even more so than it helping Riley on defense, Riley's defense is already sick. I think it's going to help Matt a lot, right? I think it tends to help players that struggle with it, right? So, those people that aren't super comfortable scrambling or, you know, getting balls back, playing, kind of scrappy defense, it helps them just because it's a little easier to control the ball from the midcourt and from the back. So I think it's a bigger advantage to Matt Wright, who's not the best defender, and I think he'll admit that, and to Ben, who's not the best midcourt player, and he'll agree with that. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a very evenly matched men's gold medal match, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. So also excited to see some fireworks in the second game here. I think we're gonna have a fired up Callie Smith and a fired up Lucy, and Andrea and Irina. They've spent some time on court together. They've got some chemistry. Um, yeah, and as I mentioned, my BLQK teammates at Major League Pickleball 2021, and they are good buddies, good court chemistry, and they're playing really really well together. So fun pickleball. There's that Lucy Kovalova backhand. That's her bread and butter, man. There's nobody better in the game at cracking those. It's a really, really good drop. Nice forehand roll, dipping cross court. It's one of those in betweens where Irina took it out of the air. Probably would have been better suited letting it bounce and just keeping it soft going back cross court. And that's exactly what I talked about in terms of one errors turning into two errors. You see it quite often from not just Irina, but most players. Like start noticing it, where you have one unforced error just compounds, just pulled that wide, and that's just on that backhand fade counter right there. That's that's one common place that you miss a lot is wide if you're just pulling it a little early, catch it a little early. And 202 as you see. um, Great battle. Yeah, so Callie just tried to mix it up. You're seeing them kind of target Irina more. Irina's pretty comfortable on that backhand side. She'll give you some errors, but she's pretty solid on that backhand dink. And you saw Callie try to change direction there, which changing direction is always a more difficult shot than hitting the ball back to where it came from. All right, so we see a few more unforced errors coming out of Irina this game. We'll see if she lets it affect her overall, or if she's able to just knock it off and focus on. But out of the two between Irina and Andrea, you're going to get more errors out of Irina. So you're going to see Callie and Lucy probably focus more on Irina and try to. Yeah, that's a great ball. So there's not too many women on the tour that can take a backhand out of the air and kind of flick it and roll it at the opponent straight ahead of you. You see it a lot on the guy side, but it's more rare on the women's side. It's a tougher shot. Takes a lot of wrist strength, and Callie is one of the stronger women on tour, and she's able to pull it off. And that's yeah, it's a legit weapon on the women's side to be able to flick a backhand out of the air, below the level of the net, up the line at your opponent. It's a tough shot. And I just remember watching back to the gold medal match last year of the women, where Callie and Catherine. I don't remember exactly who they were playing. Maybe Simone and Lucy. Um, but they were just. I just remember Callie playing on the left side, just attacking at will. Like she just pulled the trigger on everything, and the X40 helps with that. And the hot weather helps with that because um, the ball's going to come back, like, but you're going to get a pop up a lot of the times, and you're going to be ready for the next ball. So counters are less effective with the X40 because it's harder to put the counter away. You know, if it's colder weather and a harder ball, and somebody speeds up at you and you crack a counter, that thing's oftentimes not coming back. Whereas then here, you know, you get into longer extended hands battles. So is it a hold on? Does that say weather delay? Somebody give me an update on that. Let's hope not. Apologies. Eating, chewing my eggs. That still tastes like burnt.
Hold up. What site you on? You need to go to Dix.com. They got all the sports.
All right. I don't know who of you are listening, but we got a few of you on here. I would love to hear. Yeah,
Charles Barkley.
who's here? Why? Why in the world are you listening to this
Star
and
City.
not listening to the other stream? And if you have any questions or have any thoughts on the match, the matchups, the players, I'm here to be knowledge for you to gain some insight from a player's perspective on other players and how they're playing and what they're doing. So this is an open dialogue. So anything that you guys want to hear about or learn about, you ask it. I will reply. I'll give you everything I know about it, and we'll go from there. And in the meantime, go ahead and put some questions in there if you have it. I'm gonna heat up my coffee because it's not hot anymore. And when I get back, that weather delay notification better be off my screen. All right, we are back here, and I still see that weather delay sign, which must mean there is a weather delay. So hopefully it won't be long. I think the Pickleball Channel stream said it might be a slight delay, so hopefully it's not going to be a huge thing. Um, I have heard some rumblings around Naples, Florida, and East Naples Community Center about a certain paddle being banned very soon. Um, and that would be the carbon paddle, CRBN, which hit the scene really hot, came out firing, had a wild amount of grit and spin on it. And like the stuff, I remember being in Austin and DJ Young had a paddle, and that dude's super talented as is and can really do crazy things with the ball. Um, and the forehand drives that he was hitting and the forehand drops even, right? Like the stuff he was able to do to the ball was just the ball was bending like ways I haven't seen the ball bend off of a pickleball paddle. It was just so unique. Even more so than the Electrum. And the Electrum, when that first came on the scene, and that was kind of the grittiest paddle, that thing did wild things. I remember like playing Patrick Smith and hitting what I thought was a good return, and then him hitting a forehand drive that's the trajectory is going over my head. I'm not terribly short, 5'11" on a good day with very sizable shoes on. Um, and that ball is going over my head trajectory and dipping about 6 feet inside the baseline. I'm letting it go. And I'm just like, how? I've never seen I've never seen a pickleball do that off of a paddle before. So like it took a while to adjust to the Electrum. That thing had so much pop and so much spin, and then the carbon comes along and makes the Electrum look like a toy. So I don't know what's actually going on. I've just heard rumors. I'm not on site, right? So I've just chatted with a couple players via text, and the word is, from what I've heard, could be right, could be wrong. I don't know. Is that the carbon? I know there's a couple models. I think all carbon is basically what I've heard is going to be taken off of the USA Pickleball approved paddle list post US Open, after US Open. So they're basically saying, hey, this paddle's not to legal standards, but since you've already started playing with it this tournament, you can keep playing with that illegal paddle, which seems like an interesting call, because if the paddle's illegal and you're playing in what I think USA Pickleball. I know it's not a US Open separate or whatever, but just the fact that the paddle is going to be banned after the tournament and you're allowed to continue playing with it at the tournament seems like a weird decision. If that's actually the case, I don't know if that's actually the case. So a lot of this is just hearsay and rumor and speculation. I'll try to find out more concrete information for you, and I'll let you know. But word is that carbon paddle is banned, going to be taken off the USA Pickleball approved paddle list, and players are going to be able to play with it for the remainder of the U.S. Open. But come, day after the U.S. Open, you cannot play with that paddle at a tournament. That's the word I know. So no idea if it's true. I think that's true. It's legit sources. So, but I just don't know to the extent of the details of what all's true. So I'll keep you posted. In the meantime, looks like we're doing this lovely documentary again, um, with a little weather delay up top left. Reminds me of like as a kid watching Braves baseball and just waiting for the rain delay to end and watching all the old stories. What they should put on is not this. They should put on like former like old matches that are epic, like some of the epic finals from the past. Um, that was always fun to watch. Or some Puppet Master videos, some highlight reels that he had that were just epic. I was just talking about it in the last Freestyle Boys podcast. We need more characters. And then Brian Ashworth posted, he commented on the post, I believe, and he was just like, "This is what made like when Kyle Yates and Tim Nelson, also known as Puppet Master, like were in their heyday and just going at it, and like it was so entertaining. Um, People never knew what was you just never knew what was going to happen at a tournament. Like there was you always wanted to watch their matches because who knows what could happen. Like we need more of that. Like it's still yeah, it's been dialed back a lot, which that comes with a sport maturing, and you have more things at stake, right? Like now you have sponsors at stake. You don't you got to be a bit more careful than being the loose cannon that does whatever he wants on court. So players are a bit more, I guess, cautious, right? Because you have money on the line. But what we need is like what that player needs. Whoever that guy is that's gonna be the next puppet master, Tim Nelson, is you just need a ridiculous sponsor that like approves everything, wants you to be the most ridiculous, wants you to bring the most eyeballs, wants you to have the most personality, and just embraces it and just owns it. So who would be a good sponsor for that? I'm curious. Like who would be like the most renegade sponsor out there that would be like, I want to I want to support pickleball's biggest villain, whoever that may be. And then we could have some dudes actually like doing it on court and just saying, "Hey, I can be like this," because let's say it was me. It's not me because I'm just not that guy. But if it was me and I was just like, you know, wanted to challenge Franklin, for example, I'm just gonna be the most ludicrous person on court, do the most ridiculous things, give zero rips, and if Franklin drops me because that's who I am, so be it. Because you know what? I've got this badass sponsor in the wings that wants me to be this guy, that's going to support me being this guy, and that's going to pay me to be this guy. So that's what we need to find and look for. Any idea why Tyson McGuffin and Riley Newman don't play together? Is that, I'm guessing those are your TMs and RNs? Because my name's also RN. What else we got? Duolingo. I don't know what that means. Hey Shay. Queen Coop. Coop is a queen. They're all queens on court. Isn't that what we say nowadays? Um, no, but I talked to you. You guys might have missed it, but I talked about it at the beginning of their match. All of them are lovely, lovely people. I know all of them very well personally. Off the court, on court, you got some, you got some competitive ladies. Get the juices get flowing. Things get weird, and people can get annoyed, and people can get irked. That's all of us. It's competitive nature. But what I can't say off court is that everybody is awesome. They're fun. They're lovely, and I enjoy spending time with all of them. So James, I'm guessing you're saying Riley Newman and Tyson McGuffin. Yeah. So they played all last year together, had great results. Tyson focused on the right side. Riley played the left side. Kind of knew what you're going to get with them. And then, yeah, I guess Riley dropped Tyson. I don't think that's a secret. I think he's talked about it on his podcast. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, and I'm assuming that's the case. That Riley was seeking a new partner, found Matt Wright, and I guess Riley just thought he had more upside with Matt Wright. So that's how that kind of shook out. And Tyson got matched up with Jocelyn, and I think they're still trying to, it takes time, these partnerships to gel and mesh. You got Tyson's a great player, Jocelyn's a great player. I don't think they've quite figured out how to play with each other to the best of their abilities yet, but they will. They will. I mean, they're both very, very smart players. Tyson's one of the best strategists and kind of analytical minds in the game. He loves breaking down strategy and talking data and talking technical analysis, all that stuff. Like he's a brilliant, brilliant mind of that. And Jocelyn's super talented. So they'll come together, figure it out, I'm sure. Are there any pros that really just grind your gears and can't stand? Excited to see how TM and CP play together. An interesting duo. Yeah, will absolutely be an interesting duo. Any pros that just grind my gears and I can't stand? You know, I'm a pretty mellow guy. It takes a lot for people to grind my gears. Um, but who could I say? Neil Metarata. He's my sworn enemy. Hopefully he's still on here. No, I like Neil. Neil's great. He's a pickleball forum all star. He has lots to say. He has tons of opinions, which I like. Like I like guys putting their opinions out there and not being scared of it. And like I talked about this in the podcast, being polarizing. You don't want everybody to like you and everybody to, or you don't want some people to like you, some people to hate you. You don't want like to be that middle of the road person. You want people to love you, like absolutely love you. You want people to absolutely hate you. You don't have to name names, obviously. Well, okay, well that's an easier question. Yes, of course, there's people on tour that grind my gears, no doubt. It's just making me having to give you the political answer because this is being live streamed. But yeah, I mean, I think that goes without saying. We need. Tony was just in my ear. He's like, we need a highly paid subscription site for that. It's like we don't have that right now. I love when Neil posted on the kitchen asking why he hadn't been paid. Yeah, me too, man. It's the best. Neil just does not give a rip, and it's great. It's because he does pickleball for fun, right? He's not doing it for a paycheck. He's not doing it to do anything other than enjoy himself, have fun, and that's it. And I think he brings a lot to pickleball in terms of bringing some personality and some excitement, and he's a damn good player. So it's good. All right, I don't know how this weather delay is progressing, but seemingly not very well if we're still not going. Any other questions, guys? This has been good. Um, Looks like we got some more people coming in, probably from the other stream because they're tired of watching that pickleball channel documentary again. But and I hope pickleball channel doesn't feel like I'm stealing their people because I'm not. I'm just, as you guys can see, just streaming the stream in the background, kind of silenced. I'm just talking nonsense for the most part, kind of giving, as the match is going, just kind of giving insights on the players, their background, the way they play, playing style, strategy, um, all that stuff that you're probably not hearing on the mainstream. But at the same time, those guys, Drew, and I think Chad, I was listening to Chad Edwards earlier. Like both of those guys have voices that I could fall asleep to. Chad Chad's Australian accent, and Drew's. Sorry, what? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see what else. I just found this channel and I love it. Hey, Calvin, I like you already. How do you say your last name? Minigasi? Did I nail that? It just rolls off the tongue. Calvin Minigasi. I mean, that's a name right there. I like it. Can you rehash the paddle thing? Carbon ban. Yes. Okay. So I don't know specific. I don't know specifics. And again, I'll preface this by saying it's all hearsay. Not sure what exactly is going on, but from what I've heard from other players that may be legit sources or may not be legit sources, I don't know. I've heard that the carbon paddles going to be banned. Come well, it's going to be banned and taken off the USA Pickleball approved paddle list. That may or may not be accurate. That's just what I've heard. And that it will not go into effect until after the US Open. So, meaning if you've been playing with the carbon during the US Open, you can continue playing with the carbon during the US Open, which, if that's the case, I find that silly and pointless because you're basically just saying, yo, that paddle is illegal, but you can play with it during this tournament, a very important tournament, by the way. Um, but you cannot play with it 2 days from now. Which, if the paddle's illegal, why would you allow somebody to play this tournament with an illegal paddle and potentially win this tournament with an illegal paddle? So I don't really understand that. And yeah, I don't know all the details. I talked about it a little bit earlier. When I was in Austin, DJ Young was playing with the carbon, and like when I first saw it and first saw him playing with it, and it's kind of on steroids with him because he's super talented, can generate a ton of spin, and he can really use the paddle to the max. And the stuff he was doing with the ball in terms of like hitting roll topspin drops with heavy pace that were dipping like crazy was just like I hadn't seen the ball do stuff like that off a paddle. The only thing close was the Electrum when it first came out, and Pat Smith was hitting drives at my head or over my head that somehow landed 6 feet in. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I do know the paddle is wildly gritty and spinny, and you can do crazy things with it, and that's why, you know, it's effective in doubles, way more effective in singles, which is why you see J Dub playing with the Franklin signature paddle in doubles, but you see him playing with the carbon in singles. The bend you can get on the ball with the carbon is is second to none. It's silly. It's a different ball game with that paddle. It changes everything, and it's just not something that I can do with the paddle that I have, which is a legal paddle, by the way, legal. Okay, I just got a carbon 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, hey Shay, about that. They wouldn't let people play with it today. Oh, Gary, with some hot knowledge. So, can you confirm, Gary, that it's banned for sure at the tournament today? So you're saying DJ is pissed right now. I would imagine he's not super happy about it. Is there someone I would love to team up with but haven't had the chance yet? You know what? It's a good question. Um, I would say more so based off of personality than anything else. Just who would I have fun playing with? And I think I'd have a lot of fun with my boy Callan Dawson. Like he's sneaky hilarious. He's super quiet, as you guys probably all see, like when he's playing. But like I've played some rec with him, and he always was like, he says baby after everything. Like after everything, he's like, oh, good shot, baby, good shot, baby. Like let's go, baby. Everything's baby at the end. It's so funny because you just wouldn't expect it. And then he'll also, I've heard so many stories from people that he's partnered with that like in the middle of a match will be at the back of the court about to serve, and then he just comes up to you and says something that you totally don't expect. Like I can't even say it. This is censored, I think, but just stuff that you would never expect. That's just wild. So, anyways, he's super fun. He's a great dude. Uh, One of the more chill guys and fun guys on tour. So he would be a lot of fun to play with. Is that on all the carbon paddles or just the 16? Yeah, it's a good question, Zach. Not sure, man. Um, I would imagine the thickness wouldn't matter. I'd be more curious on, because the surface is going to be the surface. If they're determining that the surface is too gritty, I highly doubt it matters between the 16 and 13. Um, I would be more curious on. I think they have different shapes now, right? I don't know all about the carbon paddle. I just don't pay attention super close. I just know that when DJ is using it, that it's a legit weapon and it's scary. Um, so I'm not sure on all the carbon details. So I don't want to give wrong information. I don't care if I give wrong information, but I don't want to keep talking about something that I don't know about fully. So that's all I know. It sounds like Gary has more information. So Gary, hit us with more information if you have it. Am I Team Lala or Team Randall? It's. Oh, I know Lala's not going to listen to this. This might get back to Randall, so I'm clearly Team Randall. Weird that grip matters, but doesn't matter how much lead tape is added. Yeah, yeah, you can make the paddle as heavy as you want, but the grit's what's actually manipulating the ball and determining what kind of spin it generates. The lead tape um, determines how, like, with what force the ball's hit, but even if there's no grit and you're hitting with lead tape, the ball's not going to spin. Do I think Kyle Yates can make a comeback of sorts and get back to playing against/with the pros? Kyle's wildly talented. Like he's I don't even think I don't even think it would really be a comeback. Like he's had great results this year even. Um, yeah, I think he's one of the more he's especially if he focuses on the right side specifically. he could play with any of the top left side players and get great results. I believe that. Um, he's super solid on the right, especially. Doesn't miss a lot of forehand dinks. He's really, really crafty. Um, yeah, his talents undeniable. He's very, very good. None of them on the USA Pickleball Paddle approved site. Now, I haven't taken a look, to be honest. Nor do I. I know this. I know it's interesting to you guys. I don't particularly care unless I'm just losing to somebody that played with it. Um, and I know it's interesting, but paddle information, I don't have a lot of it, so sorry for doing this, Gary. But if you guys have any questions, please go to Gary. I don't know how to say your last name, but Wolsifer. You can find him on Facebook. Send him direct messages, even Instagram, maybe. Who knows? But just overload Gary with your questions on the carbon paddle, and he'll be sure to answer. Thank you, Gary. Do you think Anna Lee will drop a singles match in PPA in 2022? Um, I will go on the record saying yes, I do think she will lose a singles match. To who? I don't know. I just know this is an Adam Stone quote, and I like it a lot. And we were talking about it, I think, last year, and we were just talking about like how more money's coming into pickleball, and he comes from a poker background, highly competitive poker background, and he's like, Rob, one thing I've learned, and one thing I do know, is that when people can play games and play games for money, that people are good at things. People will get good at it. And he's like, there's just, I just love the quote. Rob, people are good at things, especially when money's involved. And it's a fact. Like, the more money that comes in, like, we're going to see a lot more players, especially on the women's side, come in. Like, the women's side is still so wide open for ex college tennis players and ex semi pro tennis players to come in and just make good money. Like, if you can get to, like, if you're a really talented ex college tennis player and you're like, hey, I'm going to give pro pickleball a year, really focus, see how good I can get. Um, you're not going to have a problem getting partners. Like, especially on the men's side. The men's side's so deep that, like, you can be, like, you just look at Anna Bright that came in, or Paris Todd, like, you're going to get, like, top 15, top 20 men's partners out of the gate for mixed. Like, you can get results right away. Um, and as you know, on the women's side especially, women will drop women for better women. Like, there's no shortage of dropping partners for the hottest new thing. So if you're an ex college tennis women's player and you focus on pickleball for a year, you could be making six figures, I would say, within 12 months, 18 months, if you're really focused. Which, there's not many other professional sports where you can do that. You might have to teach some, you might have to do some things, but you can make a really, really good living playing a sport where you're hitting a wiffle ball, and yeah, even teaching pickleball. So we've got, what else we got? Confirmed by Carbon that they are working with USA Pickleball to rectify the situation. Yeah, I believe that, as they should. People are not using them at the Open today. They have been removed from the approved paddle list this AM. Yeah, so Carbon, I'm sure a paddle got tested. Who knows if it was a random test or not? And it was probably over the limit on some of the specifications, and they yanked it. I don't know if we have any whistleblowers or if anybody was kind of leading the charge on trying to get it tested, or if it was just a random thing. But regardless, Carbon is out at the U.S. Open. They're not playing with it, and I'm sure Carbon, as a company, is going to take care of it, and they'll be back, and they'll be under the specifications that they should be, and they'll be good to go. But it's not I don't think it's a huge deal. I think, as companies push the limits of approved paddles, like, it's going to happen, especially when you're kind of riding that line super close where, um, yeah, so I don't think it's a huge deal. It probably sucks for the players playing with it at this tournament that they can't play with it now, because they're going to be going to a different paddle that's not as comfortable for them, that they haven't been practicing with. So that's kind of the unfortunate situation in respect to what's going on with it now. But I think as a whole, if you play with a carbon, it's probably a headache for the company for sure. They're going to probably have to recall some, or um, say that that batch or that shipment that came in isn't approved, so you can't use those. So I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of wasted inventory, which is going to be a costly thing for the company. But I have no doubt they'll rectify the situation with the customers and with their sponsored players and get back up to speed ASAP. Should the PPA invest in Hawkeye system, or is it still too expensive? Uh, the Hawkeye system's incredibly expensive. That I do know. Um, I also know that there's some other technology that I've talked to some folks about. That's a single. It's basically a single camera that you can set up that somehow has different layers and lenses all in it that can basically see the entire court, zoom in on one section while it's still recording the whole thing, take pictures of certain things. There's some weird technology out there where I don't think Hawkeye is going to be super necessary, and we're not playing for millions of dollars. So uh, I think even just having cam like a sideline cam and a baseline cam on every sideline and every baseline would do the trick right now. Like just decent quality, right? Like not grainy, and I think that's plenty. What I hate, what I really hate when I watch some of the streams and I see some of the replays is when you're having overrules done on an angle from a camera that's not directly on the line. You can't do that. You can't make a judgment call. You can assume all day that that ball was probably out based on that camera angle and where that landed, but you don't know definitively. You don't know definitively unless you actually see the surface of that ball on the surface of the ground and space between that ball. You can't definitively make that call unless you see that. And on half of the overturned replays that I see, you can't see that. So in my opinion, you can't overturn that, but they're being overturned anyways. So they're still guessing, which I think is silly. You can't overturn calls without, irrefutable proof. And we don't have that right now. So it's like, why even do replays if you don't have cameras at the baseline and the sideline? Don't do it. It's stupid. Um, so that's my opinion on that, B Graham. When is my next tournament? Could unlimited grit be a thing of the future? Would it be good? Yeah, I've thought about that. Focused. So next tournament, hey Shay, most likely. So I'm dealing with some health issues right now. I just have had some health issues past week. Trying to sort them out, trying to figure it out if I'm going to be healthy enough to play next week. If I can, I will be traveling from Hawaii next week to the mainland to play. Um, But if not, I'll be sitting still for a little bit and resting up and trying to get healthy. So lots on my plate, just trying to first and foremost be healthy, get healthy, so I can get back on court. So that's where that stands. But what I am enjoying is, even though I'm in Hawaii right now, commentating on and chatting about the U.S. Open, which is a lot of fun, and chatting with you guys. Thank you all for tuning in for a little bit. Appreciate it. Could unlimited grit be a thing of the future? Would it be good? It could absolutely be a thing of the future. Um, I think, yeah, we have technical standards right now and specifications for what paddles can and can't be and can and can't do. And, as we've seen a little bit with like some of the serve rules, like this sport could go in a lot of directions. Who knows what's actually going to happen and how it's actually going to play out. Um, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see. I think more so than changing court specifications, serve rules, all that stuff. I think the more interesting aspect would be to loosen restrictions on paddle technology, similar to like what you've seen in tennis, right? Like they're not changing how you serve in tennis or what's legal or not legal with the serve or these different things. They're not changing the width or length of the court. But what has changed since the sport, has come along in the past 70 years or so is paddle technology or racket technology. I've gone from wooden rackets to similar to how, it probably was the beginning with pickleball, wooden paddles to more technologically advanced paddles. So, and that could continue to change. And as we've seen, like, now you have companies really, really pushing it and looking to innovate and looking to be on the leading edge of what's legal and what's not legal. And I still give a lot of props to Gearbox for having a really, really unique paddle and process and how they build it. So, um, and I'll tell Franklin that too. So it's okay that I'm sponsored by Franklin, but also can respect the fact that Gearbox has a really unique process in how they make paddles, and I think it's cool. Um, what else we got? Hey Shay, I appreciate that. So yeah, looks like we got a few more people filing in here. So any more questions in the chat? Happy to answer. What we've covered so far is obviously the match that's going on that's in a weather delay. What we have upcoming. This is the first semi of the women's side. We got another semi. I'm thinking after the second semi is coming after that, I would guess for the women. And then I would guess they would put on the men's gold, which is going to be the Johns boys versus Matt Wright and Riley Newman. I think that's going to be a really, really good matchup considering the conditions, the ball being a little slower, heavy humidity in the air. Going to have great defense by Riley. The ball is going to be tough to put away. I mean, scrambling is going to be a big deal. Defense is going to be a big deal. Matt Wright, who's not usually fantastic at defense, is going to get more balls back because it's easier to get balls back when the ball's soft and the conditions are heavy. So just getting a note from my producer Tony here. It sounds like they killed the mainstream at the Pickleball channel, which was what we were kind of streaming off of. And guess being is that it's a long delay. If anybody has any insight to that, or if anybody's on site, would love to hear what's happening there. All right, sounds like Pickleball Channel. I just got a note from Tony. Sounds like Pickleball Channel just started a new stream, so I guess they just cut the old one, started a new one. Maybe they just know that we're restreaming and they're not happy with it. Don't guys, Pickleball Channel guys, don't worry. I'm not stealing your viewers. I'm just so all I'm doing here, just so the new people listening understand, is I'm not doing really play by play. When the match comes on, I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm just here really to give kind of more insight into player backgrounds, strategies, player strengths, player weaknesses, what they're probably thinking about, what they're looking to do. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to help with. And if you guys have questions, I want this to be kind of like an open conversation. So I will talk based on what you guys put in the chat, and as long as it makes sense. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the chats in the pickleball world, and some of them are not so pleasant. So let's keep it pleasant and informative, and happy to help out and give you guys some insight that maybe you haven't gotten from a player's perspective. And let's see what happens with this new stream when it comes up. All right, so Pickleball Channel sent some updates in their chat. So yeah, let's take a look in their chat and see if we have any updates on timing on when we'll get back to some live pickleball. So updates in my life, guys. I almost burnt my house down by making eggs and doing this live stream. I started making eggs and it's like, hey, I'll jump on this. And then I forgot I was making the eggs and I had the burner on high and then wasn't looking over at the kitchen, which is that way. And I just start smelling smoke. And I'm like, huh, it smells a little bit like smoke. Just like pure Dumb and Dumber moment, right? I'm just like, huh, it smells like smoke. And I just keep doing the commentating without even like trying to figure out what it's coming from. I'm like, oh, somebody must be grilling outside. Meanwhile, it's 4 feet away from me, burning eggs, literally almost on fire. And yeah, so that's my morning. And is it still morning here in Hawaii? So I'm in Maui. It's 11:30. Yeah, it's still technically morning. Um, and yeah, just bringing you guys some commentary for the U.S. Open. I do live in Hawaii. I live in Maui. So kind of the south side of Maui, a place called Wailea. It's quite a touristy spot actually. There's a lot of hotels kind of where I live, but very expensive. I'll tell you that. But also very nice. Like I live across the street from the beach, so I can walk to the beach every night. and it's a lovely place to live. Um, will Frank will Franklin come out with a paddle with a carbon fiber surface? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But it wouldn't surprise me. Hopefully that helps answer that question. Um, Any updates, people, on the weather delay? All right, so I guess still a weather delay. They're waiting for the rain to stop, trying to dry the court. So we'll keep you posted there. Um, what else was I going to say? I was going to say something good, really good. I don't know. Anyways, we can use this time as whatever you guys want. So if you guys have more questions, we can just do kind of live Q&A. What I was going to say is, so I'm going to be like, if I'm not playing a tournament, for example, this tournament, I will try to be doing I will try to be doing as much of these as I can, just commentating, live commentary on streams, on matches that are going on, just to kind of give you some insight. I think the feedback on. I'm not trying to take away from the actual stream or the actual commentary or the actual broadcasters. All I'm trying to do is offer an additional place for you to watch and get some different insight from a different person. And I feel like the insight that I can provide is probably a little bit more unique than the typical commentators that you do have. Know the players more on a personal level, play against them, have a good idea on what they're trying to do strategy wise. All right, looks like we might have maybe a sneak peek into this weather delay. Tony, if you can listen in on that and see what we have, it'd be nice to get an update on if we have live pickleball coming back anytime soon, or if it's going to be a while. 'Cause if it's going to be a while, I don't know if we just need to sit here and hang out and have these people just listen to my voice for absolutely no reason other than this fact that it sounds so good on this beautiful new mic that I just bought. Anyways, thanks, Colby. We're gonna be hopefully doing this a lot. So, um, yeah, again, yeah, it looks pretty wet on court. Yeah, I see puddles and like drips, but I also see sunshine. Typical Florida, man. That's why you shouldn't live in that state. It's just weird. Weird stuff happens. In Hawaii, I wish I could show you Hawaii. It's literally just bright, beautiful flowers and sunshine and lush greenery everywhere. Um, all right, so it's going to be a sizable delay. So actually, believe it or not, I can't. Believe it or not, I can't sit around all day and just talk about pickleball. Sadly, I've got stuff to do. I've actually got a friend in town this weekend, and we've got some plans this afternoon to go see Maui and check out the island and go. We're gonna go up country is what they call it here, and it's basically so like Wailea, where I live, is kind of right on the coast. I face the beach faces west, so you get ridiculously beautiful sunsets. But like right behind it, if you are standing on the beach looking back to shore, looking back on the land, basically there's just like a gentle slope that goes all the way up to basically what used to be a volcano. And as you go up on that hill, there's like little towns, little villages, and it's what they call here upcountry. So you get up in elevation a little bit. It's really pretty. The weather changes quite a bit. It gets much cooler, and it's very green up there from all the. I'm not going to act like I know geology or whatever you would call it. I was going to say volcanic runoff, but that's just purely me making up stuff. That's not. That's probably not true. But anyways, it's green up there and it's cool and it's nice. And we're gonna go up there and enjoy the day. Maybe have a little lunch, and then maybe go snorkeling. And then who knows? Who knows what else today will hold? But point being is if we run into a really sizable weather delay here, I'm probably gonna miss the rest of the semi and the rest of the gold medal match for the guys. Apologies. Um, Florida is awful. I love it. Well done, hey Shay. The bucket seemed pointless. I was thinking about it, it's like, why do they just have random buckets just sitting on court? It's colorful, I guess. Are there any other pros in Hawaii? Who do you drill with? There are no other pros in Hawaii. Hey Shay. Um, there's some good people. Honestly, I drill mostly with like guys that are like high 4.0, low 4.5. So for those of you that are in the 4.0, 4.5 range, if you lived in Hawaii, you would be my regular drilling partner, and you'd probably be getting a lot better, as I stay the same and don't get better. So that it is a challenge of being out here, um, but I'm making it work and I'm having fun. And more than anything, I'm enjoying the lifestyle. I'm enjoying the peace and quiet, and um, yeah, it's a great place to live. The drilling's a little. Tony, can you turn your volume down? It's really really loud. Yeah. So yeah, that's that's Hawaii. Not great training, but great living. Bup, 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 bup. Richard's Rainwater is a spot. Look at you cracking jokes. I am ex college tennis skyhook. I played Division 1 tennis at UNC Asheville a lifetime ago. It feels like a very long time ago. So a little bit of my background is I graduated in 2007. Played college tennis. Played number one at that school, singles and doubles. Kind of like a mid-major type school. I was a good tennis player. I wasn't a great tennis player. I like doubles a lot, so that transition into pickleball, which is more doubles focused, was good to me. I like that. Always loved table tennis and ping pong. Was I didn't like play real table tennis, but I played ping pong, in my garage for hours growing up every night, that kind of thing. So hand speed's always been like one of my better attributes. Um, and yeah, translated well. So, but played tennis, graduated in 2007, and then coached a couple years after. Played a little bit, but really from 2000, I would say 2010 or 11 to 2019, didn't play tennis at all, didn't play any sports at all, just focused on work and career, and then found pickleball in the end of 2019 through my buddy Adam Franklin, who owns Franklin Pickleball here. And he sent me a paddle. He's like, a lot of the good players are ex tennis guys. So I was like, I'll try it. Sounds fun. So he sent me a paddle. I literally was living in Austin, Texas, and I Googled pickleball lesson Austin, Texas, and found this guy, Calvin Keeney. And I was like, hey, called him up. I was like, hey, I need a lesson. I want to do this like today. He's like, okay, I can do it later tonight. So I go. He kind of like tells me the rules. We do like a 45-minute lesson, hour lesson, and I'm like, this looks really fun. And then he kind of plugs me in with some different people in Austin that are in the pickleball scene. Wyatt Stone and his mom Ashley Stone, being two of them. So I meet them like the next day, and they're like plugging me into different people. And then I meet Christina and Walter Dorman down in San Marcos, who kind of, you know, they're amazing, and they took me in and they like taught me the game, and they beat up on me for like the first 2 months, and I was so frustrated. It's like, how are these old people that aren't athletic beating me at the sport? This is insane. I played college tennis. You should never be beating me. And that's really what got me hooked. Like, I was like, what kind of sport can you come in being the superior athlete, superior racket sports background, and be losing to these people? It was really, really like mind blowing to me. I was like, this sport is unique. This is fun. I know I'm bad right now, but I know I can be good because like of all the kind of intangibles of coming from tennis, it just took a while for me to like really believe that I had to play soft. I wish I would have come in and just focused on the soft game the entire time and then developed weapons, but I like more so just played hard and then like had to learn how to dial it back and play soft eventually. I think if you're a tennis player coming in, you need to just focus on the soft game completely first and foremost. Dial that before you do anything. Don't ever speed up. And then once you have that dial and you can be soft and you can be consistent and you can play where you never miss, then develop weapons from there versus what I did, which was just try to attack everything. And then doing that makes it really hard to dial it back and stay soft because you're such, and it's so ingrained to just pull the trigger and attack. And it's still something I struggle with. Like I still need to stay soft longer. But I have gotten better with it. Let's see here. Let some of this stuff go. Zane has a problem. He has to go to Chicago. Yep, not for long. I believe Zane's moving to Austin. So there's a couple players in Austin I've heard. So he should be doing good there. As far as entertainment, do you think pickleball needs more Ben Johns or Tim Nelsons? Tim Nelsons, without a doubt. If we had 10 Tim Nelsons and like different varieties of them, this sport would be bigger than tennis. I'm not kidding. Florida summers suck? Yes, that's a fact. Do you know John Valenti, the grinder? I do not. Yeah, Tony was in my ear some of that time saying make sure you hit the subscribe button. So if you aren't subscribed, do subscribe because I will be doing these live commentaries actually quite often when I'm not playing tournaments. And obviously we have two tours, so when I'm not playing one tour, there's another tour playing, and I will be commentating most likely because this is fun for me, believe it or not. I enjoy this. Did you know? Yes, I know that name, Skyhook, FSU All American, but I don't know him personally. I do remember it was. I remember we were kind of the same age range growing up, so I'd see his name a lot in tennis, but I don't know him. Thank you, Colby. Great having you, buddy. Thanks for joining. Glad you listened a little bit. Sorry we didn't have much live pickleball. Do I enjoy playing with lefties like Cassidy? Absolutely do. I like playing on the left. It's probably not where, if we're talking about my ceiling in pickleball, I'm probably better suited as a right side player based on my natural tendencies of backhand counters and speed ups, forehand speed ups. But currently, I'm more comfortable on the left. It's where I've spent most of my time, especially since I played with Cassidy a lot last year. I was really on the left a ton. So that's where I feel like I developed most of my consistency, especially on the backhand dink, as well as my attacks. So yeah, I do like playing with lefties though a lot. This is the kind of content we need. I'm glad I got you, Denise. STL is next week. Yes, indeed it is. Let's just hope my butt heals because right now I'm sitting on a donut. And if I wasn't sitting on the donut, my butt would not be feeling good. Who has the best trash talk on the tour? You know, best trash talk on the tour. I would say Warnick. No, yeah, Warnick, Johnny Goldberg. Other than those, you know, you don't get much of it anymore. He's turned into more of a nice guy lately. But Matt Wright, who I like a lot. Um, who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? I mean, I think that those are the good characters. Goldberg's the man. Warnick's the man. Love Matt Wright. Like I think it's all fun, right? It's trash talk, but it's like it's pickleball. We're not playing for tons of money here, so it's all in good fun right now. We'll see how things change once real money comes in. How far out do you have to schedule your partners for a tournament? So yeah, so most of the stuff's done really, really far in advance, and of course, things change, tournaments change, you change tours, whatever, sign contracts, things change. But typically speaking, I think last year, for example, players started, you know, it's a little bit of like a domino effect. You have one or two players that schedule really, really far in advance, right? They're like, hey, do you want to play all this stuff next year? And this could be like July, August, September, even of the prior year, and they're like, yeah, sure, let's play that. And then other players hear about that, and they're like, oh, I can't play with that person anymore because they've already locked that up. So they're like, oh, I better schedule now with somebody else. So then you have all the players like starting to scramble, of like, oh, people are already like starting to get partners and lock each other up, and then everybody's scrambling, and this is like August, probably August, September of the prior year before the next year. Sometimes even sooner than that, to be honest with you. Especially for the big tournaments, like you definitely lock in partners for the big boys ahead of time. So that yeah, that's a big deal, and it's also a big deal if you're a new pro player coming into the sport trying to get partners, and you're not coming in starting with another person, and you're just kind of trying to make the journey solo like I did into pro pickleball. Makes it tough. Um, so always, I always said like I got lucky because I found the one of the more unorganized and I think he'll admit this, Cassidy. He's not the most organized with the schedule. So I was like, okay, if he's not organized, I might have a chance here. So I hit up Cassidy. He's like, do you have partners for this, and this? He's like, nope. I'm like, what? Okay, so yeah, so you try to lock it in as early as you can. Otherwise, you're really left scrambling. All right. Does Dom use more moose than any person on the booth? Talk about, I don't know which Dom you're talking about. Catalano? How many times have you been dumped as a partner? I've, I don't know. It's definitely happened, but not like a ton. So handful of times. All pros, big draws. You get more prize money than small women's draws. Skyhook, you're just asking the hard hitting stuff. You're just trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you? Big males with big pros should get more prize money than small women's draws. I think all draws should be equal. I think I'll just state this. I think women should earn just as much as men. Period. Prize money. Period. End of story. Catalano. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about Dom's moose, but I do know about Dom as a human, and Dom is one of the nicest, kindest, most fun people I know. I love Dom, and he wears loud outfits, and I respect that a lot. And he runs one of the more fun tournaments in pickleball. I don't know if I call it a tournament, but like events, Moneyball. Hopefully he has a comeback on that. I probably won't be playing them anymore because they're in Florida. But when I was in Florida, it's if you want to get in shape, you play Moneyball because it's a grind. You're there playing so many matches, but it's a great way to get into like good form right away because you just get a ton of like real match play pickleball. But it does beat you up because it's a full day. Um, it's a full day out there, so it's fun. So we've had quite a few of you join. This is fun. If anybody out there has any questions, shoot them over. I'm probably only going to last another 10 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, depending on what's shaking with this weather delay and their buckets out there. Who knows? Um, but I will. I'll be here for a little bit. So if anything else comes across, I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, let's just, you know, what says the most about a relationship between me and you guys is how well we sit in awkward silence together. So if I'm silent and you're silent and we can be comfortable together, I think that says a lot about our relationship moving forward. Are we allowed to ask why Ben was replaced with Casey? Well, you just did ask, Denise, so I'm sure you are. Yeah, I mean, I've said this a few times. Just felt like it was a time for a change, and have always gelled really well with Casey, and we decided to team up and make it happen. So I'm pumped to have Casey on, and Casey's going to be doing these a lot too. He's going to be hopping on. He was trying to hop on today, but turns out he has a family with like a ton of kids, which apparently takes a lot of your time. And he has like 17 things he does in terms of content creation. Like he does a lot with volleyball still. He works like he helps out a solar company. He's doing a lot more with pickleball. Um, yeah, so I just love that he's going to be able to bring kind of the amateur aspect of relatability, because it's one thing when you have two pros talking about pickleball, but it's another thing when you have a pro talking with an amateur about how he can get better, and that's going to be part of it. Is like how can we make Casey as good as he can get, and how can I support him on that, and how can I kind of coach him live through it as everybody kind of gets to listen to it. So super pumped on how it's all going to shake out. And we are going to be able to do much more consistent recordings, which is also a big deal. We'll be able to record weekly, um, most likely going to be on Mondays, and we'll probably do one on Monday, this upcoming Monday. And it's going to be content that you can expect each week versus, once, twice a month, or might be here, might be there. Um, that just makes it tough, especially to build, a following and a strong connection with your audience when your audience never knows when you're going to publish next. So, looking forward to having more consistency for sure. yeah, so also going to be a lot more interactive in terms of we're going to get listeners to send in a lot of their content, and we'll do some analysis on it. We'll do strategy. We'll do Ernie of the week, ATP of the week, different things like that. And yeah, it's going to be much more interactive, and it's going to be more open, more Q&A, and it's going to be much more involved. If I played Annalie in singles, I would probably win. I don't know. It's hard. It's going to be hard for her to win a point when she doesn't get to serve at all. Hope that answers. Hope that answers your question. That was fun. But that is what I do like about well, a couple things, right? It's like you don't get a full matchup in kind of the MLP format with the singles matchups. You get 4 points at a time, which anything can happen in 4 points at a time, as we saw with Lee Whitwell lighting up Deckel last year. That was very fun. Um, so yeah, at 4 points at a time, at 4 points at a time, anything can happen. But what I like about Duper specifically is that it's genderless. So like, you know, what happened, and it's based off of, I don't know if you guys know it, UTR, which is the Universal Tennis Rating. And the way UTR does tournaments is not it's not age, skill level, well, it's skill level based, but it's not age and gender. They just take a range of what your UTR is and say, if you're within this UTR, you play this tournament. And it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female playing each other. They're the same rating, right? If there's a male that's 5.0 and a female that's 5.0, they're technically the same level, period. Right? So if they play 100 times, it'll be split 50-50 technically. So they don't do it based on women playing women. They do it based on skill playing skill, which is going to be what Duper's doing, which I love that fact because you get a lot of these questions answered of, if this person at 5.0 played this guy at 5.0, what would the result be? And after that result, the winner will move up, the loser will move down in rating, and it'll all shake out. So I think that's really cool, and I like moving towards skill based matchups and rating based matchups rather than gender and age and all that stuff. I'll do my best. Hey Shay. So the MLP draft reveal is, I believe, May 27th. Don't quote me on that. It's the end of May. It's going to be done at the APP New York City tournament, and I think it's going to be legit. It's going to be good. Pick any men's or mixed partner. Who would you pick? Um, I talked about this a little earlier. It was who have you not played with that you'd like to play with? And my answer was Callan Dawson, just because he's funny. He's like undercover funny. Like everybody. He always looks like he's serious and looks like he never talks, but he always says funny stuff under his breath. And he's off court. He's super chill, easy to talk to, fun guy, really really nice. But if it wasn't him, and I was looking at if I could pick any men's or mixed partner, who would you pick? Um, mm, 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 you know, good question. Just because I lived in Florida for quite a while, and I practiced with Simone and Catherine. I think both of them would be a blast to play with. Like, they both play very similarly to each other, get a ton of balls back. Their games are based on each other, right? Like, Catherine learned from Simone, and they're just backboards, right? Walls. And so I think I like the idea of having that as a mixed partner, somebody that's just going to get a million balls back. So they'd be super fun to play with. Um, on the men's side, I think it'd be a lot of fun to play with Matt Wright. I like him a lot off court. He's very fiery on court, and I can be kind of similar. I can be kind of fiery on court. Um, but yeah, I think that would be fun. So probably just a few more minutes here. I've had a lot of fun with you guys. This has been quite enjoyable, and I hope we can do this more often. And I'm sad we don't have live pickleball because um, my prediction. Well, maybe I'm glad because my prediction's going wrong so far. I picked Lucy and Callie to steamroll Irina and Andrea. Sorry, Irina and Andrea. I mean, those are my BLQK partners, so I should have more faith in you, knowing that that chemistry is going to roll over into the U.S. Open and that you guys will continue to just crush and take home this championship. So that's on me. My bad. Um, but I based that result off of what Lucy and Callie did to the Kawamotos, who I respect their games a ton, especially in the heat with a slower ball where they're going to get every ball back. And I think Callie and Lucy beat them like 6-7 or 6-6 or something. So I was like, if they're beating the Kawamotos 6-7, they're gonna, I think Kawamotos are going to get more balls back than Irina and Andrea, but Irina and Andrea probably have a bit more power and pop and offense than the Kawamotos do. So a little bit of a surprising first game, but we'll see how it shakes. I think it's a good time you know for that weather delay because Callie and Lucy can regroup a little bit and maybe stop some of that momentum. I know I should never go against Coop. It's a bad bet. It's a bad bet. All right, like I was saying, let's see if we can sit in awkward silence together. It's really going to determine how this relationship goes. I've had too much coffee too. Let me grab some water. Moment, please. Okay, we're back. First water I've had today. It's bad. Gotta drink more water. Hydrate, people. Hydrate. All right. Anything else up here? No, just threats about me going against Coop again. I know. I should threaten myself. I should never do that. I'm better than that. Don't bet against Coop. Yeah. All right. Sounds like we don't really. Sounds like we really don't know what's happening with the weather delay. We're not getting many updates from the pickleball channel. Um, so I'll be honest. If I was running that stream, I'd be giving updates and analysis the entire time. I would be. That's what like. I think I mentioned earlier when I was watching Braves rain delays. Like I didn't throw on an old Braves game, sure, like a fun one that was cool, but like I would like to hear the announcers, the talking heads, just talk nonsense about everything, kind of like I'm doing right now. It's a bit more fun than just sitting around waiting, not knowing what's happening. But if this is a live picture, it looks pretty sunny there. I still see some shimmer off the courts. It looks wet, but hopefully they've got some heavy duty drying equipment inside. And if that's the case, I will stick with you as long as I can, at least to try to see some more of this. Um, oh, you guys are funny in this chat. All right. Did we get any word there? No. Now we're just back to this thing. I just saw a live shot. Yo, so if anybody in the chat or listening to the stream can get an idea on kind of what's going on the actual delay, that would be super helpful. If anybody's on site or if anybody knows anything, it would be helpful. Because if we're close, if we're within the next, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, then I'll stick around and keep this rolling. Otherwise, I will not. So spill more. What does NML know? It was funny for the longest time. There's a pretty significant group of players that thought I was part of NML. I'm not. I do respect the fact that NML came out and revealed themselves. Uh, think I talked about this in the podcast a while. I just, if you're gonna have hot takes, put your name behind it, and they did. So props to them.
playing golf one day, and the kids were moping around, not doing anything. So Joe and Bill got fired up and went out back to the old badminton court. Had some wooden paddles and a plastic baseball that was hanging around. So Bill and Joe started messing around with the paddles and the ball and
Ah,
playing this game. And
delicious.
they just wanted to play
Speaking of
pickleball.
NML, I'm gonna just pull up. You know what annoys me about them right now is that every time I try to go to the website, it says certificate error or something, or it's not secure, and then I have to go through some other route of getting there, and it's quite annoying. So they need to figure out their security certificate. I think they need to figure it out. Let's see. Let's see what they're live blogging about today. And I'll give some analysis on the NML analysis. All right. Let's see what they're saying. We are currently in a weather delay after the Johns took down Kohler Wilson, and we're in the middle of game one of McGuffin Lung and Newman Wright, so they haven't updated since the women have started. We'll take a bit of the space to write about the carbon paddle situation. Let's see.
Always up to something, and they got this game going, and it just kind of took on a
Yeah,
little
so
bit of
they've
time,
banned
making them
the
look
carbon
stupid.
paddle the middle of the tournament, even as players have played matches today with the carbon. They are later being told later they cannot.
So the rules just got developed on an as-needed basis. Dick Brown is a large man; he's about 6'4" and aggressive, and he would run up to the net and spike the ball. So there was the
Yeah, it's not super surprising. Like usually when testing's done on a paddle again, it's because other companies and other players
serve line on
uh,
the court for the player,
are
and
pushing it, right? They're
they
like,
just
hey,
got
this
made up the
thing's
rule. They said,
this
hey,
thing's
players
doing
can't
crazy stuff.
have a stand
You're
up
able to
paddle.
bend the ball
So that
around the
was
post
the
from the middle of the court.
and
How
now
can this be
it's
legal?
established at 36 inches. And the
Um,
reason it ended up at 36 inches is that was the height of
yeah,
the
so I mean
court.
that's no
And
surprise there. So
the
just
net kind of
browsing the
squeezed
NML
and
blog right
messed
now, but
around with it. So before we went
nothing
out,
we really didn't already know,
we checked the
other
whole
than the
thing out.
fact that they kind of banned it outright during the middle of the day
And
today, even if people had been using it earlier, which I agree with. Like what I was saying, like the rumor I heard was that they were going to ban it, but not till after the tournament. Which I'm like, okay, well, if you've determined that the paddle is illegal, why would you wait till after the tournament to ban it? Because if somebody wins the tournament with that paddle, is it really going to be a U.S. Open win with a illegal paddle? So I'm glad that they actually said, once they got the news that it didn't meet the standards, that they pulled it right away because that's what they should do. So glad to hear that's the case. The surfing in Hawaii, I'm not much of a surfer, but I've met some really, really nice people that will take me out surfing and help me. But apparently, I guess for me in Hawaii as a beginner, surfing's always good. Like the waves are always fine. But for I know some of like big wave surfers, and it's always better in the winter is when they get the swells to the North Shore. So that's not right now. So usually, like you have the big time surfers that are here in the winter, and then they'll go chase surf all over the world the rest of the year. They need to reshoot the Lala commercial. Hmm. Get them, Bill. Get them. All right. If anybody has any updates on the weather, please enlighten me. All right. All right, right on. So I just got word from Tony that apparently the weather looks iffy, the radar looks bad. There's hail kind of in the forecast, so it looks like things are going to stay sketch for a while, which means it's going to pull me off this thing. But I've had a blast with you guys. Thanks for sticking with me for a little bit. Been a ton of fun. But let's do this maybe tomorrow. What do you say? All right. So, anyways, check you guys later. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe just so you'll get notified whenever we do go live on these things. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Podcast coming Monday. Stay tuned. Adios.